Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer where we are going to completely unpack the mental models of the ultra wealthy. We're talking about totally reframing your understanding of what it takes to build true wealth. We are pulling some absolutely incredible insights from a conversation with wealth management expert Sandeep Jethwani. I mean, this guy has sat across the table from some of the most affluent individuals out there, and he's decoded exactly how they think about money, time, and success. So get ready because the way you view your own finances is about to fundamentally change.
We're going to start things off with a pretty jarring reality. Just 1% of people in India own roughly one-third of the entire country's wealth. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It is a staggering concentration. When you're sitting in a room with individuals who have net worths in the tens or hundreds of crores, you realize real quick that the money is definitely out there. It's totally available. It's just highly, highly concentrated in the hands of a very select few. And seeing that staggering concentration naturally brings up the ultimate question, right? What exactly do these ultra-wealthy people know that the rest of us are completely missing? Like, are they just incredibly lucky? Or is there a specific psychological framework, a totally different set of mental models that allows them to not just attract, but more importantly, keep that kind of massive wealth?
Well, that brings us to section one, redefining real wealth.
Look, if you're aiming at the wrong target, you're literally never going to hit it. Society constantly feeds us this myth that wealth is all about accumulating flashy cars, huge houses, and just expensive stuff. But the reality? Every single time you buy a depreciating asset, you technically have less wealth. True wealth is simply the freedom to do whatever you want with your time. It's not necessarily about retiring early just to go sit on a beach somewhere. It's about having the absolute luxury to wake up and decide exactly how you want to spend your day, totally free of obligation. Just think about the Flipkart mafia, the folks who made significant money from the Walmart buyout. They didn't just stop working, right? They used that wealth as time and freedom to go out and build hundreds of new innovative startups.
Moving right along to section two, India's wealth evolution. So, to really understand why so many of us are still stuck working jobs we hate just to buy things we don't even need, we have to look at how our whole economic environment has evolved. India has shifted through three very distinct phases. First up was the income management era. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you definitely know this era of scarcity. It was all about competing fiercely for a limited number of jobs just to survive on a salary and, make ends meet. More recently, we shifted into the wealth management era, where people are finally saving some money and chasing investment returns. But the real magic? That happens when we enter the wealth creation era. That's where you generate enough resources to literally buy back your time and enter this amazing zone of pure innovation and creation.
Now, check out how rapidly we are actually shifting into this new mindset. The acceleration is just wild. It took roughly 3.5 years for India to go from 1 crore to 2 crore investor demat accounts. But recently, going from 9 to 10 crore took a mere 90 days. 90 days. That is a staggering acceleration of people finally waking up and realizing they need to put their money to work.
Which leads us perfectly into section three, trust is ultimate leverage. As we transition into this era of true wealth creation, we've got to understand the ultimate tool the 1% actually use, and that is trust. Without relying on trusted experts, doing it all yourself emotionally creates what we call an expertise gap. The data perfectly illustrates this. Researchers looked at a highly successful mutual fund that earned an impressive 19% annualized return over many years. But when they modeled the actual investors' behavior, when people excitedly bought in at the top and fearfully pulled out at the bottom, the actual investors only realized a 12 to 13% return. They effectively lost 6% simply because they let their emotions drive the bus instead of relying on an expert to just hold their hand. So the absolutely crucial point here is knowing when to delegate. You can, and for sure should, figure out low-stakes decisions yourself. Things like what to wear today or where to go for a quick weekend vacation. But for high-stakes decisions, primarily your health and your money, you must rely on trusted expertise. Think about it. You wouldn't Google your symptoms and then try to perform surgery on yourself, right? So why on earth would you self-medicate your life savings? For the ultra-wealthy, trust is immense leverage. There's this really great story from the source material about a tech entrepreneur who spent an entire initial meeting just asking his potential wealth manager about his background, his childhood, and his personal values. He literally didn't ask a single thing about portfolio strategy. Why? Because finding an expert they completely trust frees up their time from micromanaging. As that entrepreneur put it, now that I trust you, I don't have to be involved at all. Boom, it opens up whole new parts of their life to focus on building even more wealth.
All right, Section 4, never break compounding.
Once you have the right experts in place to free up your time, you absolutely must protect your progress. Which leads right into our next massive mental model: never break compounding. We almost always think of compounding only in terms of a financial spreadsheet, right? Making cash grow over decades. But compounding applies to your entire life and career. Seriously, think about it. If you job hop constantly just because another company offers a 15% raise, financially it might seem smart in the short term, but you are breaking the compounding of your reputation. You are starting completely from scratch and building trust and leadership equity at the new company. The most successful CEOs are incredibly valuable because their leadership skills and industry trust have compounded over decades.
So, whenever you find yourself tempted by a super exciting new investment, a quick career switch, or honestly just seeking variety because you're bored, you have to ask yourself, is that instant gratification really worth resetting your compounding clock? The tricky thing with compounding is that in the moment, it doesn't feel very exciting at all. It feels like a microscopic 0.01% daily progress. It's that instant gratification monkey in our brains begging us to break the chain. Don't let it.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, investing in the future. Finally, if we actually want to move beyond just steady growth and capture truly exponential returns, we have to radically change how we view risk and uncertainty. Everyday investors usually seek comfort by chasing past data. For example, the vast majority of inflows into Bitcoin happened after it had already peaked. People saw the past returns and wanted in on a sure thing, which basically means most of them lost money. The wealthy, however, they don't look in the rearview mirror. Jeff Bezos built Amazon for the future 20 years ago. True wealth is created by placing bets on what the world will look like, not what it currently is. And how exactly do the wealthy evaluate these crazy, uncertain future possibilities? Through the sheer power of storytelling. The greatest investments and businesses are always built on a compelling story that has three key elements. First, a really clear promise of a better future. Second, it's actually backed by solid behavioral logic and quantitative insight, so it's not just some fairy tale. And third, deep relatability. Just think of Tesla. Literally nobody cared about electric vehicles until Elon Musk came along and told a highly relatable story about making them way cooler and faster than gas cars. That story is what attracted the massive capital and the suppliers needed to make it a reality. Now, stepping into the unknown to build this kind of exponential wealth naturally brings up some pretty deep feelings of insecurity, but the wealthy don't let that insecurity paralyze them. Instead of letting fear stop you in your tracks, you gotta channel it positively. When you're faced with a massive challenge, instead of throwing your hands up and saying, "It's impossible, I'm just not built for this," reframe your vocabulary. Just say, "I don't know how to do this yet." Adding that one simple word, yet, literally turns a brick wall into a door. It channels all that insecurity into a relentless curiosity to learn. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to take a hard look at your own career, your current investments, and your daily choices today. Leave yourself with this one truly profound question. Are you just chasing the safe, crowded patterns of the past? Or are you brave enough to invest in the uncertain, compounding story of your future? Ultimately, the choice is entirely yours. Keep learning, keep compounding, and we will see you in the next one.